Let's take one more. Brad T says, "Hey, Wooly and Pat. Less question, more observation. Related directly into fighting games and other games. How do you follow the following observations? That high level play tends to give deeply skewed versions of what novice players think the game should be. They think their own gameplay should look like this high level play, but nothing could be further from the truth at first, anyways. I think that contributes to burnout, frustration, and people learning the games quote unquote wrong. Three brief examples. Combos are too hard. These KOF trials are gatekeeping me. Meanwhile, the traditional advice I grew up with is you should be able to win a game with nothing but normals. I'm terrible at combos, but mostly win because I like win in neutral and even in games like Guilty Gear. StarCraft is too fast. I can't handle micro. Meanwhile, most prominent teacher of the game, Vibe, has people literally making armies and just throwing them at the enemy with zero micro, not even looking at any fights at all, even when it leads to bad engagement. It's just far more important for the new player to learn to make more stuff. 3. Any presentation of chess in media. No one talks about mate in 12. All that shit from Paul Mophie games are from the 1850s or whatever. Most games between high-level players are decided by who drops a piece first, or AKA who gets hit first. It goes on a bit, but in general, it's the perception versus high-level play. And yeah, it's just, do you observe that in different games there is a feeling of like needing to execute on a high level that you see the, strong players executing at versus what you really should be focused on as a beginner?
Absolutely. And I think part of that reason is like, let's take Daigo fighting games, right? You're looking at Daigo playing. Daigo's fucking killing it. He's doing super good. And you go, I want to train to get good like Daigo. What you're basically doing is looking at 1990s Michael Jordan annihilating people on the court and going, I want to get good like Michael Jordan. Now, you won't get as good as Michael Jordan.
Not unless you get those special shoes like Bow Wow.
Right. And you're going to go, well, that's okay because, I didn't start training since I was a little baby and I'm not 7 feet tall and I'm not physically, gifted, et cetera, right? But then they go, well, with video games, with Daigo, well, I mean, Daigo's like a normal looking dude. He's not like a super buff dude. He's like a normal guy. And I mean, he wasn't playing fighting games as like a little baby. So I should be able to learn how to do that. And they ignore the like decades of practice that goes into it. And they get frustrated that they can't catch up to Michael Jordan in like 3 weeks.
So, yeah, that's definitely the case, and it shouldn't be. There's so much else that they're doing that you don't need to be worried about when you're just touching buttons and getting used to things. Which, as we talk about on Gento Fighting Games, is part of why it's like, hey, if you think that looks cool, just boot it up, start pressing buttons. Doesn't matter. Don't think about anything else. Don't think about who's doing what, where, how. Just look at what looks cool. You like that character? Pick them. Go into a round one. Start pressing buttons. See how you feel about it. Doesn't matter who wins or loses. Is it fun? Are you enjoying it? I'm wondering, because after this question, I was thinking about how I remember I often describe when I played Warcraft 3, I was overwhelmed by the hero feature. And I wasn't looking at replays of top players doing stuff and then going, oh my God, I can't do that. I was just following the in-game tutorial for the hero feature. And as it was explaining it, I felt like, oh boy, I can't. I'm not able to keep up with this, or at least I wasn't when, all those years ago as a kid. So that's a case where I wasn't trying to emulate pros. I was just following the instructions. But in the end, if it turns out all these years later that you could ignore that system and be fine, I will have had a bad beat. on that game.
Yeah, you can.
Damn.
You absolutely can.
Damn.
I would take my heroes, and I would, well, because also in a lot of those missions, the death of the hero meant like instant fail of the mission. So I would take my heroes and just fucking jam them in the back of my fucking base, and play 3D Warcraft 2.
But as someone that's using their hero, not like wiping your grunts out.
I don't care. I'm not playing online.
Okay.
I'm playing that. I fuck what? What? Am I gonna have a fucking bad day by playing Warcraft 3 online? Why don't I just fucking piss all over myself? Save me some fucking trouble.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit earlier with the KOF conversation, but I don't know how much you can do about perception of like expectation, where like I forgot the name of it, but there's an exact name for the thing where the more skilled a person is at a thing, the more effortless they make it look. There's a descriptor for that, and it's like,
Thinking of Dunning-Kruger.
Not Mount Stupid.
Because that's about knowledge and perceived expertise.
That's Mount Stupid. I'm not talking about that. It's a thing where like there's a thing that is just like, yeah, like you make it look easy because of how skilled you are, and there's so much happening in the background that you don't even begin to realize as a beginner,
Yeah. High Fight's video breakdowns of high-level matches is a perfect example, because like you watch the match without the commentary or the text, and it's just he's wiggling around, he jumped in, did a Shoryuken, I could do that, and then he slows it down to like by 10% speed, and it shows off like the amount of per frame mind games going on.
Throw, wake up, flash kick, no. Wait for throw, wait for tick, no tick. All right, V reversal, step back, hard kick, check. Reversal, no. Check meter, jump back, get out. And like every couple of seconds, what's the thought? What's the idea? What are you worried about? What are you confirming? What's also interesting is some fighting game players have started doing eye tracking on their
that's interesting.
Streams.
Oh, that's very interesting.
So if you tune in, you can see literally where they're looking as they fight. Most of the time, it's at the spacing between the characters, occasionally over to the life bar, occasionally down to the meters, then to the time, back to the characters, But there's these moments of like, yeah, there's 5 things happening in this 1 second, and like it doesn't seem apparent. It might like just look like, oh, they stood there, stared at each other, and someone threw a fireball. But like there was 3 or 4 little exchanges that were micro, You definitely don't need to worry about that starting out.
It's absolutely fascinating to compare that to like high level like Brood War play, in which fighting game, a million things going on, but it looks visually simple. Whereas with an RTS thing, I look at people play Brood War, and I'd be like, I literally cannot do that. Like with my mouse and keyboard and whatnot.
Physically, yeah.
Like if I tried to do that, I would not be able to do so.
Yeah, don't worry about your Nürburgring lap times or your ability to drift when you're learning how to drive. This is the gas pedal. This is the brake. This is the clutch. Like you're literally learning how to operate the vehicle. You're not. There's no race yet. Yeah. I would say that's generally a true observation, and yeah, the idea that chess in movies is like click 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 checkmate. Like I guess I can see what you're saying there. It is interesting though to again look at the perspective of like perception of things. If like movies have a certain thing look a certain way, or if the argument for the KOF trials is similar to, oh, but look at chess in movies, you end up thinking that it's some way, but it isn't actually that way. And all I can really say is like, just if you hopefully the person will like try something and find out for themselves very quickly how much what they were worried about doesn't apply if they decide to step in the water, or if they're watching something where the person they're watching straight up tells you, hey, yeah, don't worry about that, But anyway,